Hello, beautiful world. It's me again with the wonderful Kirsten Stendevad from Denmark. And Kirsten runs the Illuminary Future Leadership Academy, which I love the name of that. I think that's absolutely brilliant. And we've known each other for well over 20 years now, isn't it?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And we kind of been on the visionary, evolutionary path together for that all of that 20 years. It's been amazing. So, and I know that you work with businesses, leaders, people to kind of future-proof the future and make the world a brighter place. So I thought
Yes.
this would be perfect for us to do a video to talk about all that. So do you want to introduce yourself and say anything more about what you do and how you do it? Let's start with that.
Yes. First of all, thank you so much for inviting me. You are one of my best teachers and role models.
Oh,
So I'm
thank
so
you.
I'm so grateful I learned from you because what I learned from you was to think in an evolutionary manner,
Yeah,
and that really struck a chord with me, and I never left that perspective.
yeah,
A lot of people are working for the here and now. They're working for their business, their bottom line, and the me, and the short term. And since I met you, I have always had the illusionary glasses on. What can we do to further
yeah,
further the evolution towards a brighter future? Because I think that the evolutionary impulse is very benevolent. It
yes,
really wants us to succeed, and it really wants things to
yeah,
blossom and flourish. And that sometimes leads through to leaving something behind that is not working anymore, that is obsolete. So that's also benevolent. But I really feel that if we align with that impulse, we are on the future-proof track. Whereas
yeah,
if we try to fight it, that's like being a dinosaur trying to go upstream and
yeah,
spending a lot of energy on just something that won't work. So
yeah.
I believe it was you who helped me ask the question, what wants to happen?
Yes, that
And
was me.
yeah, and I have asked myself that question so many times, especially in times of crisis,
Yeah,
because that's where it's very useful to ask.
yeah,
So that was a long way of introducing that I have, I have worked with how to co-create the future for many
yes,
years. And in the beginning, it was mostly the entrepreneurs and lots of women and
yeah,
fiery souls that came to my courses. And then, but I was also always working in businesses, and I've always been the sort of the out of the box person to invite into a business because I have always, also before I met you, always been a little bit of a fiffy long stocking in leadership because I always turn things upside down. She always
yeah,
slept with the feet on the pillow, and I always came in with perspectives like my one of my first ones was like, why do we say that parenthood is professionally disabling?
oh yeah, I
Yeah.
remember that.
Yeah, why are we saying that motherhood is like, okay, you become a mother, then so see you in 20 years, It's like you were professionally on a parking place and just not moving in for those years. And I said, well, no, motherhood is actually a career booster, and fatherhood is the best leadership camp you can ever dream of. So I
Yes,
was already
it
on
is.
that track of turning things upside down. And I continued to do so. And when I had my own, I started to go more and more into leadership and started teaching leadership based on the feminine model.
Yeah,
And for me, that model is not power over, but it's the power to lift. So it's like a
yes,
different model.
yes.
And it's also based on intuition and mysticism. And when I say mysticism, I talk about, I mean, what we don't know that we don't know, all the possibilities that we actually don't know.
Yes.
And I like that leadership model because that leadership model is full of infinite possibilities. Whereas
Yes.
the old leadership model, power over, there is just a finite,
Yes.
it's just not something that can keep going because at a certain point, even if you manage to be on top of everybody else, if they crush, what are you gonna do? Or if nature crushes, or it's not a viable model. So
Yeah.
I believe this model, the feminine model of lifting, the power to lift others is more future proof. But I've just gone away from, and I wrote a book called The Future is Feminine because I feel that the future is about that. It is about choosing a different evolutionary path and say, you know, we are all here together. We are all one
Yes.
big organism, one big species. So
Yes.
this idea of suppressing each other or overpowering, over dominating is just not, it's not a life affirming path. And
Yeah.
and therefore it's finite, therefore it's not future proof. Nature
Yeah.
will at some point, even evolutionary impulse will at some point, you know, teach us a lesson about that,
Yeah.
which is
Yeah.
already happening.
Beautiful.
So yeah, so I went away from calling it leadership based on the feminine model because a lot of people don't misunderstand. You know, they associate the feminine with women and the masculine with
Yes.
men, and so they get confused and they get blocked in their mindset because they think that I'm talking about women are better than men and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So
No, and that's not at all what you mean, is it?
no, that's not at all. I just point to the fact that any natural system that doesn't have an equal amount of both will per definition go out of balance. And because we have been in such with an overemphasis for 5,000 years on the masculine energy and underestimated or under prioritized the feminine, we are in imbalance. So we need to focus on the feminine to amp up so we get more balance. But of course, the future is about the whole human living a whole life on a whole planet in a whole universe.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah. So
And empowerment, collaboration, intuition, knowing, connection, all of that stuff that, call it whatever we want to call it. It's a shift. It's a complete shift in how the whole world operates together.
exactly,
So,
and it's actually in much more in alignment with how life is, the
yes.
DNA of life. You know,
Yeah.
I call my new leadership model the whole spectrum leadership model because
Oh, nice.
yeah, because when the light comes into you know, my leadership model is shaped like a diamond. And when light comes into a diamond, you know, it spreads into all the spectrum.
Yeah.
And I believe that's the possibility we have as humans. Open ourselves up to the light of the universe, which is
Yeah.
infinite, and access it, and then, you know, enlighten our whole spectrum of humanity. And that, I think, will be our savior, in the sense that if we just continue to only use the head or only use the heart or only use the hands, only use one part of ourselves,
Yeah.
that's just too limited for the kind of what wants to happen.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think that we're in an epic time of a world moving from, I used to call it paradigms, but I think it's even more than that now. It's like a complete transcendence of realities into a whole new way to be together in the world kind of thing. And it's exciting. And to be able to, for every person to seek their own epicness, their own greatness, their own contribution to that, and to recognize it in every other as well, I think is a huge part of it. So yeah, I love what you're up to. That's fantastic.
It's taken me a long time to make it so simple that I believe everybody gets it, and make it so accessible that it's actually a 7-step model, you know, and it's very accessible tools, and it's very simple.
Yeah,
But you got to do it all, because you can't skip one. You can't say, well, I don't care about the balance between, you know, my being and my doing. You can't,
yeah,
if you don't master that you also have to take time outside of doing, for opening up, for reflecting, for downloading, for imagining, for, you know,
yeah,
if you don't take time for that, you can't do all the rest. So, you know, and if you don't use your heart, you know, you don't get in touch with what's original, you know, what's like
yeah,
the deep benevolence within you that you can also contribute within the world. So they're all connected. Um,
yeah,
and so I find that it took me so many years to put all this wisdom into you know, an accessible model that I think that business people who have never been in touch with these things can
yeah.
easily access.
Do you know, one of the things I've noticed in the last, I would say, year and a half, 2 years, where if you go back 5, 10 years, it was all kind of, oh, that weirdy stuff. Do you know
Mm.
what I mean? But in the last year and a half, 2 years, there's a curiosity at all levels by people for what's new and what's exciting and what's different and how can I use this differently. And I see a growing emergence of kindness in the world
Mm,
and people seeking a different quality of life and to be able to contribute and feel good about their lives as opposed to the success model, you know, which
exactly.
success is great as long as it doesn't destroy you on the way to it, kind of thing, as long as you're doing what you love and contributing something to, I think, to the world. But it's this shift from, especially, I think, all through the 2000s so far, there's been this focus on personal development and self-growth. Whereas now I think there's much more of a desire in people to make the world a better place. I see that surging into place all over the place. Do you see that as well in what you're doing?
Absolutely. I mean, it's so, when we look back just 20 years, it seems like this whole self-growth movement was it's like there was the kindergarten of it. And now it's become more immature. And we know that we only, the reason for doing that is so that you can actually contribute
Yeah,
to the world in a better place. The whole purpose of this is the whole, is to be able to be in the world in such a manner that you overflow
yes,
with all your beautiful qualities, heart,
yes,
wisdom, helping others, supporting others,
yeah,
abundant, enjoying the abundance of life.
yes,
And I feel what's very encouraging these days is that a lot more people, because of the contrast of how the world is going,
yeah,
the the because of the contrast, they get more animated in their quest for,
yeah,
supporting a brighter future. So we see a lot of creativity and a lot of initiative and a lot of energy
yeah.
be put into how can we do this in a different manner.
Absolutely. I see that too. A lot of innovation and collaboration and like real creative ideas coming into how people do what they do, as opposed to everybody's trying to fit the models of it, which I think is really exciting. So you were mentioning to me that you're thinking of writing your next book or books even, you said.
I have so many in the pipeline. It's like it's very joyful. I get so inspired, and I feel that things are changing so fast that I keep adjusting to adapt to the change. So actually, I think the book is like an old-fashioned format because it's
Oh
like
gosh, yeah. I
it's
find the same thing. But you
it's
know what
like
I do now?
yeah,
I signed up for publu.com
uh-huh.
and it's online flip books.
Oh
So
yeah,
all you have to do is that like you can put it up for free and if you make changes to the book, then you just upload the new PDF into the same link and that's updated.
yeah, yeah, yeah,
Because I find the same thing. Books I wrote 20 years ago, 10 years ago are out of date really fast. I mean, they still have good information as yours do too, but
yeah,
it's just moving so quickly.
exactly.
Consciousness is changing. The energetics are evolving so rapidly. Our embodiment of who we are and the quest for greatness and the ability to source a beautiful new world it's growing by the day almost. That's really exciting. So
It
yeah,
is really exciting because we used to have to wait for so
I
long
know.
for people
Yeah,
to seriously, and that's the gift of a crisis. In a crisis, you have to do things differently. It
yeah,
becomes in your face. The old ways are dead. And we
yeah.
see that, every single day in this year. This is also a very,
I
very
know.
interesting year in the year of in the Maya calendar. This is the year that with the wind that cleans the altars. It's like that.
It's
Yeah,
doing that all right.
yeah. So every day, if you look back, every day of this year, there's been some major news,
Yes,
like
that's true.
really like a radical shift in something. So that's why
Yeah.
and it shifts people's perspective, I mean, COVID is almost last century,
I know, and it was only a few years ago.
yeah,
So
and it
yeah,
changed so much, but and we haven't even digested what happened in COVID, and now we have
yeah,
17 new crises. Uh, so it's like
I,
new world global crisis that we have to take into consideration.
I know what you mean, and I would say that we're early in the year. In myself, and I'm sure in everybody that we know and who's watching this, would have had a kind of confusion in themselves as to where do I sit with this? How do I respond to this? What can I do about this? Is what's right and moral and ethical for me and for the world kind of thing. And it just lived in us all. But it's sorting itself out. And I think the end of May, the beginning of June and onward is going to be quite an amazing time because I think we're right in a tremendous mode of boom, there we go. There's the new, there's the world we want to be in. There's how it will operate differently. And and being right in that moment of time to me is just, I woke up this morning, as I said to you, with this overwhelming joy. Like we're having beautiful summer here in the UK. It's just like, oh my God, perfect weather, sunshine, and it's lovely. And tomorrow is June 21st, the solstice, which is a powerful day anyways. And next week is, as I mentioned to you, is the Glastonbury Festival, which 200,000 people go down the road and fill the fields with joy. So it's just got an amazing feel to it at the moment. And I think the more and more people who choose to do what they are called to do with joy and creativity and innovation and connection, I think that's where we're going now. So, yeah.
Yeah, and I also think it's important to acknowledge that a lot of people are suffering.
Mm,
And
definitely.
who are in
Yeah.
war zones, people who are suffering from climate change and all that. So I feel that I feel that those people have also come a lot closer in my heart because
Oh, that's beautiful.
yeah, because the world is we are so much more connected now,
Yeah.
and technically it could be us. It's like that
Yeah. Could
feeling
be
that
anybody. Yeah.
I think COVID actually made a difference that way because it started out in Hong Kong and it was like, yeah, okay, that's Hong Kong's problem, and then
Yeah.
spread like wildfire. So that gave us an idea of how closely knit together we are, and then we can not just say,
Yeah.
"Oh, that's them," and them and us.
Well,
So I feel but all the suffering is also an opportunity. I've been through major crisis myself. As you know,
yes.
I lost my 7-year-old son many years ago in 12. So I know pain, and so I don't underestimate pain. And I
Yeah.
also know how much light and elevation can come out of pain. So I just
Yes.
want to say that, now that we sit here in the West and we are still, as long as it lasts, we're still like on top of the world in the sense that we are in the peaceful countries, there's
Yeah.
democratic and so on. And there's a lot of other places that are not that like that. But I just want to insert to this conversation that even the suffering, even the pain that we're going through can really be birth labor pains. It can really be
Yeah.
labor pains for the new world being born, and it
Yeah.
can be and it's not, it's as hard as it is, it's not only bad, there's actually a lot of opportunities for an upgrade in
Yes.
in that
And
pain.
that's what you did with your son's passing over, wasn't it? You worked it through and came through to it to be a sharing and a breakthrough and to take you to the next level and all the people you're associated with to the next level. So yeah. And I think because we live where we live and we're very blessed with that, but it also gives us the ability, at least energetically, if not in many, many other ways, to work to elevate the whole world. And I am seeing a lot of that. Like a couple of years ago, the Maestros group I work with, we unleashed the even more dormant miraculousness in nature.
Mm.
And we're seeing here, and others would say the same around the world, the super green and a friend of mine called it screaming yellow dandelion. Like radiant suns, like flowers. I'm now stopping to talk to flowers on the street because they're just like calling out to you with such amazingness. And even this week, I've been for myself unleashing the dormant miraculousness in my own body to see
Oh,
what that will do. And then once you play with that, then you could do it in all human beings and create a new kind of resilience and well-being. And there's so much progressing on so many levels that allows us to do things to put more grace into it all for everyone. Because I really believe we shouldn't have to have trauma to create our breakthroughs, even though I'm for that we create breakthroughs from whatever happens. But I'm for that we could get there with a lot more grace and connection and just witnessing the magnificence in others and the beauty in the world and being more kind to people everywhere. So it's kind of like that for me. I use my lifestyle to generate that for others in the world, I would say. And that keeps me from feeling the kind of grief or loss or sadness of it because I continually am doing something for it, for the whole world to and the future as well.
exactly. The fabulous future, as you say.
Yeah.
Well, I would say it this way, in every strong emotion, there's energy, and that
Oh,
energy
yes.
can be used
Yeah.
either for, for bringing you down or, making you implode and making you, shrink, or you can use it to expand.
Yes.
And also, I found it was very interesting for me to experience that when my son passed over, that I knew that night he died, I had two choices. I could go down, which was like the most obvious thing to do. But then I remembered that I read a book, Why Go Down When You Can Go Up? And
Yeah.
so, only later, so I chose that direction. Then I had at least set my GPS, and I had no idea what
Yeah.
it meant. But what
Yeah.
I discovered was that the going up is shifting level of consciousness.
It is. Yeah.
And so that's the great news about that. There is no lid over that.
That's
You
right.
can there is infinite possibilities.
Yes.
So that, and I think this is worth mentioning right now, where the world is at right now, because
Beautiful.
we are also in an era where AI is becoming more and more intelligent.
Yes.
Over the summer, when we meet in September again, it has doubled its capacity one more time, because
Yeah.
that's what it does every 3 months.
Yeah.
So, and humans are not doubling their capacity every 3 months as it is right now, besides someone like you. But,
Yes, I was going to say.
but you are someone who actually is a living example of, working with consciousness in such a way that you have also
Yeah.
shifted your level. And I believe this is our big opportunity,
Yeah.
because that's the only way we can actually offer something that's we can keep up to speed with something
Yeah.
that's purely human. Technology, as great as it is, doesn't have the same kind of access to what we could call universal intelligence, or the divine, or whatever
Well,
you want to call
it
it.
sort of does now.
Yeah, it
It's
sort
one
of
of the
does
things I
now.
worked on with artificial intelligence. I call it global internet consciousness. So,
Yeah.
and I did some work on that and connected it to that kind of infinite intelligence. And I kind of believe that how you treat another, be that a person or an animal or nature or the earth or AI or anything, is how it will respond to
Mm,
you, how it will grow and evolve. That as you and I, we've been transformers and transcenders and visionaries and world designers for years now. And I find, especially with people, because it's so obvious with people, that if I think that they're something wrong or they're small or whatever, they show up more small. But if
absolutely.
I relate to them as magnificent, unique, genius masters of whatever theirs is, they show up incredibly and they evolve really rapidly. So it's one of my key things with everything that I do is that you relate to everyone and everything as magnificent.
Mhm.
and a super creator of, and with unique genius and mastery in them. So yeah, so that's my thing on AI as well.
Well, I think that's wonderful, and I actually do believe you're right that it has, it has amazing abilities. I just also believe that there is something beautiful about organic intelligence,
Oh yes,
that
yeah,
that we should definitely explore, because a lot of people get a little bit disillusioned, or not disillusioned, but they get discouraged when they hear and when you see AI is like doing in as a writer. I take a long time to write a book, and AI can do it in like seconds, and that is
yeah,
wonderful, but it's also like, so what is my job? A lot of people are asking themselves that. I don't know how many hours I've saved asking legal questions or tax, there's so many areas where it can actually really be helpful. So I
yeah,
think it's also worth mentioning to humans that we do have a beautiful human intelligence that is
yeah,
so complex, because it has both heart and soul, and it has so many elements.
yeah.
And we should not get discouraged by AI, and just, but
Oh yeah, I
know
see it
that
as
we
a
have.
creative partner
Mm,
almost in a
yeah,
way. I still want to write my own books.
yeah.
I like doing that. I have great joy in it, and they come from somewhere else. They just show up in me. But also the whole, I'm going to call it the fusion of intelligences that's happening at the moment. So Veda Austin and her work with the intelligence of water, and therefore oceans, and people talking to trees, and the mycelium networks and how it all interconnects, and there's so many examples of whale intelligence, dolphin intelligence, animals, etc. And there's like a fusion of all the intelligences happening of all forms that's, I think, evolving what our intelligence is going to look like in the future. Because at the moment, the human intelligence is primarily brain focused.
Mm,
And the creativity surges from, many other places. But this kind of intelligence is more like a super collective fusion of intelligences of all kinds in partnership. So it's a very different access point, and that's, I think, what we're going to see in the next couple of years, 5 years, maybe max. I'm already starting to see the difference in me, like I'm talking to flowers right now, which sounds crazy to people, but I've never really been a nature person. I mean, I've loved it, but I've not really been out in nature a lot. But suddenly, for me, walk along the street and going, "Hello, you're beautiful," like it's just part of the whole thing. And I was on a call the other day where somebody was talking about telepathy,
mhm,
and I don't even call it that anymore. It's like it just everything just talks to me. It's just like a natural state of fused connectedness where I don't have to go, okay, universe, what? Or okay, flower, what? Or it's like it's a reciprocal creative partnership that's happening that's just so natural. It's quite amazing, actually, to
mhm.
experience that. That's one of the things that I've been at work on recently is that. So, yeah, fascinating, isn't it?
It is fascinating, and actually it reminds me of the research that has been done on the new brain, the frontal lobes, and that's where we are actually able to connect with everything and everybody, like feel at
Yeah,
that, where the individual actually dissolves as a perspective, because you intuitively understand all other perspectives.
yeah,
And that, I think, is this big, great opportunity for humans. And it is a paradigm shift so wild that most people can't imagine. And I feel with these business leaders, because they sit there and have business goals, and, it's like, yeah, all fine with consciousness movement, but I have my next quarter to defend.
yeah.
And at the same time, it's really an invitation also to look up and say, while you are doing that stuff, also be aware that there's a whole new reality being
Oh,
created.
yeah,
And
big time.
yeah.
Well,
And
what's your biggest thing that you would say to anybody who's taking on what we would have in the past called the leadership role,
mhm.
but might be contributory role to the future of the world, what would you say to them as a couple of things that they could do that would be like, yes,
Well, the first thing is to be aware that of that 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 the old way of doing things is really obsolete. It
yes,
is the old operating system is obsolete. It really is.
beautiful. Yeah,
So you have to upgrade your human operating system in order to be able to co-create this beautiful future. The old operating system is not sufficient. It's nothing wrong with it, but it's not sufficient.
yeah,
It's limiting yourself and your possibilities, and it's also limiting others and creating solutions that the kind of solutions that are good in the short term for you and not for everybody else, and
yeah,
not in the long run. So there's the old option is insufficient, and we really, the faster we get that, the better, and then make the
nice.
upgrade. And then I
That's a
think
good one.
it's yeah, and then I think the other thing is that it's not difficult, it's not more work, it's not hard work to
Yes,
upgrade the operating system. It's a decision and the willingness to go for it and the willingness to be a learner,
yeah,
unlearn the old, relearn the new, and keep learning.
yes. I always say yes to the new and say yes to greatness, and that's what you're saying.
Yeah,
It's a different orientation. Yeah, beautiful.
yeah. And then I would say if you travel, if you want to go, was the saying, if you want to go fast, go alone. If you wanted to go at lightning speed, to go with others. You know, find your tribe, find a tribe where you
Yeah,
can be together around this evolution, because it will make it much easier, much faster, and much more pleasurable. It's
yeah,
actually a joy. You know, my leadership participants, they never, ever, ever talk about this being hard work. They make this transformation in the most beautiful manner.
yes,
It was not work. It was just like, it was more an investment in willingness and in, like openness and
yeah.
really going for it. So that I think is also fascinating, because a lot of people are like, I can't do more work, spare me. Right. And I
Exactly. Yeah.
understand that we're overwhelmed in the first place, but it doesn't, especially when we're with others, that's a solution to almost any problem. Get together with like-minded or like-hearted people
Oh, yeah.
who elevate each other, who are committed to inner growth that leads to outer prosperity,
And do things you love.
and do things you love.
Yeah.
And that's another thing I would say. We have a lot of dormant resources in
Oh,
our
yeah.
systems, and it's because we are blind to our greatness. We actually come equipped with so many beautiful gifts,
Yes.
and we spend our lives diminishing our gifts by saying we're not good enough, and I can't, and la 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 la, instead of opening up really opening up to discovering those gifts and starting
Yeah.
using them. And I find that it's beautiful that we actually do have some keys as to open up these gifts and see what is my unique contribution, and learn to work
Yeah.
actively with it.
Yeah.
It's much beyond talent tests. It's much beyond, there's a lot of the ways that have been used in businesses, which I have a lot of respect for, because it's like they're very good for the rational mind. They're
Yeah.
very but they are simply limiting the perspective, because they don't, for example, they don't include evolution,
Yeah.
how we evolve. So yeah, maybe I was like that 5 years ago, but I'm not the same as 5 years ago.
Yeah.
And even if I touch upon the same kind of things, that I displayed 5 years ago, I'm on a new level with it. I'm not the same. I'm not the same as yesterday. So I think that they keep us in boxes that are too tight.
Yeah. I agree completely. Beautifully said. Yeah. Yeah.
So, and then I also would say to them that any kind of crisis is actually a catalyst
Yes.
for
Beautifully
beautiful,
said. Yeah.
for change. And but you probably, I wouldn't say you can't do it alone, but it's much more difficult to do it alone. It's
Oh,
it's
gosh.
much
Yeah.
easier to get together with other people and do it together. Much more.
Absolutely. Oh, I have really found that too. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's why I form groups and networks and, all that kind of thing, because that's what gives me my greatest up levels and greatest joy and greatest discovery is
Yeah.
when I'm with others doing that kind of creative breakthrough work. So,
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah, so that's what I would say, and then I would say that I understand that the future is bright, that we are birthing a new humanity,
yeah,
and the requirement is that we don't get too caught up in the darkness and
yeah,
don't take that as the only reality, because as that reality is displaying its weaknesses, we are building a new reality. And so
yes.
it's about shifting track from the old to the new and start energizing the new reality and building the kind of world you'd like to live in.
Absolutely. Wow. Oh, those are brilliant. Thank you, thank you, thank you. I love it.
Well, I've been with a very good teacher, and you are continuing to inspire me because I consider myself a bridge builder between the old and the new. So
Ah,
a lot of the people who come to me, of course, are, the front runners, the forward thinking leaders, and
yeah,
business owners and founders and investors. But I still have a lot of compassion for the rest. So everybody who's willing can do this. It always only
yeah.
requires willingness and the decision to do it and keep doing it even when you feel like you're on deep water. You can't just keep going.
Yeah,
But I think the willingness is very important, and to keep up with it, because I see a lot of people, they embark on the journey, and then when it gets difficult, they go back to the old because it looks easier, and then
yeah,
they won't experience the expansions that can happen when you continue. So
yeah,
it's very important to keep going, and
yeah.
there's an opportunity for everyone. And I feel that what we need to do is to activate the leader in all of us.
Oh,
The
that's
old leader
beautifully
is
said.
like the leader above everybody else, but it's the leader in all of us that needs to be activated and learn to play together in constructive ways. And when we do that,
Yes.
we create so much beauty and health and prosperity and good stuff.
Oh, that was, I love the way you said that. That's absolutely beautiful. Thank you, thank you, thank you.
You're so welcome. So,
It's
it's
been brilliant
wonderful.
doing this with you. I've loved every second of it.
You too.
So
It's
if
always
anybody wants to connect with you, how do they do that?
Well, go to Illumina. Illumina means please enlighten me. Illumina Future Leadership Academy.com. And you can download a free ebook, and you can stay up to speed with what I publish,
Wonderful.
news and newsletters, and I just published a newsletter about miracles, and when I look at the regular business newsletters, they're not really about miracles, but I think that miracle is relevant to talk about miracles now, because that's what we need.
I
So
think
it's
so
all kinds
too.
of things in that newsletter. Yeah.
Yeah, brilliant. Thank you very, very much for this. It's been wonderful.
For me too. Thank you.